quick look here at a couple of my other files, the curse mode file and then the day one file that I did, and I'm just doing another playthrough on that one. So as we start up this day 317, I'm going to show as many upgraded rooms as I can to show you all what upgrades I was able to use throughout this playthrough. I'm going to hopefully show you all of the trophies that I have earned. Going to show you just how I typically will draft. Every time I start a run, I go in with the intent of doing a full house. I think that's the goal of Blueprints, is to draft a full house every time, and so that is my goal. So this first room here is the spare veranda, and so veranda makes it more likely that you are to find items while you are in green rooms. The next one that we're going to go into is the mail room. A couple of things I want to point out here in the mail room. I went with the upgrade of no contact delivery, but this is a collection of all of the letters that I read throughout the playthrough. I've done the experiment, add a letter to the mail room multiple times, and no more letters have been mailed, and based on the reading of the last letter, it's pretty clear that that is the final letter. Drafting the upgraded hallway here, I went with the +1 key upgrade. I always think that you need multiple keys throughout your early ranks, and you normally draft hallway early on. Now it looks like I only have 38 stars, and that's true. I had used about 120 in one run trying to complete something while I was continuously re-rolling using the stars, and I got down below 50 and finally was able to obtain the room that I wanted after, like I said, 100 re-rolls or something like that. And so I was able to see the 100 star constellation. In this playthrough, I was not able to complete every word on it. In that other playthrough that I have with the day one completion, I am at like 200 and something stars, and so I am actively working on the constellation of the Spiral of the Stars. So this is one of the areas that I still need to finish up. It is the planetarium. I have only gotten 2 of the upgrades, and so the way to get those upgrades is by getting the telescope and going in there and looking through the telescope. I do obtain a telescope later on in this video, and so I'm able to get 1 more of those upgrades. Alright, here we go into the trophy room. My favorite room. I have axed the cost, so it's free and you get 8 gems. And here is my full trophy case. We're going to look at each one individually. The Full House trophy, the Inheritance trophy, the Explorers trophy, the Dare Bird trophy, the Cursed trophy, the Bullseye trophy, a logical trophy, the Day 1 trophy, the Trophy of Speed, the Trophy of Invention, the Trophy of Drafting, the Trophy of Sigils, the Trophy of Wealth, the Diploma Trophy, the Trophy of Sigils, the Room 8 Trophy, and finally, the Trophy of Trophies. I love this game. Alright, this next room is going to be the treasure trove. And so the treasure trove, every time that you draft it and go in, it adds additional coins. I have drafted it a ton, and so when I go in, I get many coins. In addition, if you have the scepter will show up here. The Royal Scepter. I go with green because I want to test the theory of whether or not you can get a green scepter the following day. I've never been able to keep the scepter when turning it green and then calling it a day in a green room. So we're going to test that theory. Was able to just get the telescope there. So now I'm going to go back to the planetarium and look through the telescope and get additional upgrade. But first, got to fill in these last couple rooms. So yeah, I had the indoor nursery as one of my upgrades, which was just a terrible upgrade. Like I don't think I ever utilized the gems in there. It was bad. Shouldn't have done that. So now for my final room, what are we gonna get? No, don't want any of those. Kind of want Clock Tower to set myself up for the next run, but instead I'm going to go with coat check so that I can put my telescope in the coat check so that I can use it next time when I want to look through the planetarium. So we have the royal scepter. The royal scepter is green. We are going to call it a day in veranda. And then what should happen is we should start the next day with a scepter. So we call it a day and we start up tomorrow. Before we start tomorrow, we're going to look at this full house here. And when we start up the next day, we'll go to our inventory and see if our scepter is there. And just as we suspected, no scepter. So it turns out when you make it green, even if you stop the day in a green room, you cannot keep the scepter.